My name is Sylvia, and my story today would be about my mother. We always knew that she'd had quite a remarkable life, although we didn't know all the details, because she was always quite secretive. Shortly before she died, she informed me that she'd left her body to science. And I told her they didn't always take her body just because she did that, so what did we do if they wouldn't accept her? And they didn't take her body, and she'd said, well, have me cremated and throw my ashes off London Bridge into the Thames. Relating this story to the funeral director, he actually told us, yes, we could do that, but he thought London Bridge was slightly obvious and a bit, in the public eye. And then he asked if he could ask me a question, and I said, yes, of course he could. And he wanted to know why the Ministry of War Pensions were paying for her funeral. And I said, well, she was a war pensioner, and he said, well, there are lots of war pensioners, what else? And I said, well, she's was 100% war pensioner. And he said, and I said, well, then we don't know. We always felt there was a story, but we've never known it. And we still don't to this day. And he said he thought there might be a story. And I said, well, you must have buried a lot of war pensioners and come across this before. And he said no. He'd been an undertaker for over 30 years, buried lots of war pensioners, 100% war pensioners, but never been asked to direct a bill to the War Ministry before. So that was the end of that. We took her ashes up to London Bridge, and my daughter-in-law had never been on Tower Bridge, so she asked if we could cross Tower Bridge. And we stood in a buttress and looking down onto the river, where there was a fire barge that had just been being cleaned. They were cleaning down the decks and finishing off the day. And my son said, could we do it here? And I said, why not? The tide's going the right way and we can see London Bridge. And so we undid the top of the urn and began to let the ash fall. And we hadn't realised how high up we were, and the ash seemed to fall forever. And down on the barge, the guys down there recognised what we were doing, and they put the hoses back on at full stretch across the river, and the hooter. So it was whoop, 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 and a wonderful send-off for a London lass, let's say. And then we walked back across the bridge and over into Southwark Cathedral, where she'd been a member there. And that really was the end of that particular passage in time. And as my husband would say, by now she's gone out past the estuary and been sort of washed away to sea.